One of the most important things in meditation is the open awareness that the eyes have. When our eyes aren't fixed on one single thing, our mind tends to not also focus on one single thing. And if you notice something that a lot of veterans with PTSD have, it's called the 1,000-yard stare, where their eyes are very fixed. It looks like they're staring at something off in the distance. And in a sense, they kind of are. In one kind of way, they're imagining something that happened, something very traumatic, something that their body is stuck in. And one of the most important things I can say as a veteran with PTSD myself is that it's not about comparison. Whether or not another person's traumas are more severe than yours does not diminish yours. Yours to you are still the same size, still the same impact, and are still having the same effect that they are having. As a veteran, I can say that even though I've been to combat, even though I've seen a lot of nasty things in war, there are still so many more people in the world who have gone through worse than I have. And what it reminds me of is a joke by Dave Chappelle. I'll paraphrase and I'll kind of rephrase to kind of fit the larger narrative here, which is that a person, I believe it was Dave Chappelle, a person suffering, let's say, a person suffering does not make you suffer less. It may help you view your situation as more manageable, but it doesn't diminish and shouldn't diminish your experience. A person who is starving doesn't negate my hunger. We both need to eat, but that person's suffering is far greater than my own. But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't eat or that I shouldn't complain that I'm hungry. I still need to feed myself. Right? I can't give from an empty cup. And so when we look at a meditation, it's often talked about that we need to empty our cup, which is true. You can't learn anything new if your mind is already full of presumptuousness, of expectation. So if you come to a meditation expecting things to be a certain way, then those expectations will get in the way. Having an open awareness allows the eyes to lead the mind into a place of open awareness. It is said in psychology that where the eyes go, where the body goes, the mind follows, and vice versa. This is kind of the basis of cognitive behavioral psychology. And it also touches on EMDR, or eye movement desensitization reprocessing. So when we're feeling things like depression or anxiety, our body and our eyes can become fixed or fixated as our mind starts to become affected, as our emotions start to become affected and led into the hard beaten path, the habitual path, a path that almost feels like it has its own gravity, like a gravity well or like a black hole pulling us in. And especially in the beginning, we may not be able to free ourselves from its gravity right away. A lot of the times we may have to kind of surrender to the gravity, allow ourselves to be taken. But in doing so, we can see that we can get through it. And each time, though we may not want there to be a next time, each time it does get a little easier the more we practice allowing, surrendering, and non-judgment, acceptance, kind of a radical acceptance. So let's say when the anxiety comes on, the day I knew I had it beat, the day I knew I would no longer suffer so intensely from anxiety, I was able to feel the sensation of where in my body I usually feel anxiety. And as soon as I became aware of that, there was space between myself and the sensations in my body. And I just kept breathing because I noticed when I suffered from anxiety, my body felt so much smaller than it actually is. And because it was feeling so much smaller, it felt like there was less room to breathe. And so putting in practice the steps of meditation, of becoming aware, of not identifying with the sensations or emotions or thoughts, there was this space in between the sensations and I. And in that space is where I had more room to breathe. And so I breathed life and breath into that space. And so that fuzzing, that buzzing sensation had more room to disperse into. And as that was happening, I was becoming more and more aware of my thoughts without becoming entangled or identifying with them. I was seeing the story, the habitual story unfold before me. And it was like the narrator was describing a very negative situation. Essentially, it was negative self-talk that I was witnessing with space, without identifying, without thinking or feeling that that was me talking to myself. It was just kind of a voice that was present. I'd like to invite you to take 3 deep breaths with such depth and movement that you actually feel your belly and chest open up. If you're like me and you have body image issues, this is extra uncomfortable, but I invite you to have an awareness of that discomfort and just do it anyway. Allow yourself this space within yourself to open up, and especially into the parts of your body you may not like or may not generally notice. Allow yourself to become simply aware that they're there. No need to apply any effort, just very, very light awareness that it exists, and allow it to be there. Wherever you feel contact, let's say your feet and the floor, or if you're sitting or laying down, the chair or bed beneath you, wherever you feel that contact with your body, allow awareness, allow yourself to be aware of those points of contact, of the space around you, and breathe in such a way that it feels like your breath and awareness are one. And you can breathe into the awareness, into the spaciousness of your body and the space around you. And just keep breathing. If there's any commentary happening, allow it. And then gently bring your attention back to your breath, back to your body. Bring your attention back to your breath, back to your body, back to the space around you. And in this way, instead of dwelling or ruminating on the past, or worrying about the future, it is enough to simply be present in the here and now. You can decide to prioritize this present moment, the space around you, what your body feels. And in prioritizing the present, you are no longer allowing the past to harm you. You're no longer allowing the future to worry you. In the present, you can create a safe space, a little bubble, and any emotions or sensations that come up, you can allow it to fill the space, even if they're negative. This can be a process of allowing any negativity to leave you. You can invite any tension or hurt to rise and leave your inner body, your inner mind, and trust, though it may be difficult at first, trust that when you let it go, it can no longer come back to harm you, and it will not harm anyone else. Breathe. So be it.